In these interesting geopolitical times, the temptation to modernize a tragedy like Richard III to provide commentary would be more than understandable. But instead, director Sky Brandon has done something he jokingly calls unthinkable, setting the action in its original time period.
Sometimes I feel like that, like, why don't we just do the play during the time that it happened and see what happens? And some of those things become way clearer and easier because you're not having to retrofit or customize something to make it fit into the time period. This is when it happens, so this all just makes sense.
We could have done it in a modern time period, specifically referencing modern politics, but sometimes it's really best to do it in the historical time period and then let the audience draw their conclusions from there.
But while the setting may be of the period, the show, as produced by Shakespeare on the Saskatchewan, will be much different than first envisioned by the Bard. Historical evidence indicates Richard was likely much less cruel than the traditional theatrical version, something the creative team is attempting to incorporate into their show.
Shakespeare was trying to pay homage to the Tudor dynasty, which it was the victor of the War of the Roses. So of course he's going to paint Richard in a darker light. And also for stage purposes, having a villain that's more nasty kind of makes for better drama as well.
Between takes at this preview, Van Menen also poked fun at the way the king has traditionally been portrayed physically.
Now is the winter of us.
His version removes the hunchback and limp, and focuses more on who he was as a man, and some of the lesser-known factors that shaped his reign.
When his father dies, he's kind of left on his own and has no one to sort of live up to in the same way. And he's always sensed that his mother doesn't care for him very much. And so I think some of the things he does is because his mother did a poor job of providing strong maternal love.
The discovery of human remains in England, believed to be those of Richard III in 2012, has also changed the view of his death, which is somewhat reflected in this production as well.
We know at the end of Shakespeare's play there's this big duel between Richmond and Richard, but historically we know that it probably wasn't a one-on-one battle, that it's more like this. So how can I incorporate that without changing what Shakespeare has written or put in his stage directions?
And so audiences clearly won't be robbed of that climactic fight scene, something the cast and fight director Daniel Ford Beavis have been preparing for since the start of rehearsals.
We had time to really start to build it. And so at first it always starts off a little bit like, you're worried about safety, you're worried about looking cool, that's a common thing, right? And then as time goes by and it really gets into you, you can find the natural rhythms of the piece.
Richard III plays at the Shakespeare on the Saskatchewan Festival site through August 19th. In Saskatoon, I'm Simon Hyatt reporting.